Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
A lot of great things that we're going to talk about today and clear up some misconceptions about things, right? That could impact you and actually make your life a little bit better. He is the owner of Le Peristyle Sanctuary. He is a life spiritual coach, and it's great to have him back here. We call him Papa Yatande, and his name is really George, but whatever. George, welcome. How are you? How's it going?
I'm going fine. Actually, it's George Raymond Turnage. My brother and sister, my older brother and sister, we come out of North Carolina from the South. And when you're in North Carolina, they're going to name you the way they want to call you and remember you. So nobody's going to call you George Raymond Turnage like my mom or dad are different. My aunties or cousins. My name, because it was George Raymond, my name was Ray Ray.
Okay. Love that.
My brother, who was the oldest son, Herman Julius or Herman Edward Turnage, they called him Junie.
That's cool.
For Junior. And my sister was Kay, who was the oldest, KK. That's it. That's how they do you in the South.
I love that. It's like a term of endearment where they just take your name and just make it more. My son is Jason. We call him Jay. Same kind of thing.
There you go. They make it whatever they want to call you.
So how did you get Papa Yatande?
After my initiation in 80 something, I've been here 45 years at the Peristyle Sanctuary.
Wow.
You have to get initiated and as Onsi, which is the first level. And then after your initiation, you can be consul, which is healing hands, the things that you do with medicines, fire, stuff like that. You learn how to do these things. And then my name was changed to Jean or Papa Jean when I became a small priest, or called a Pitsi Ungan. And then when my godfather and my wife took me to receive the Ason, which is the level of a high priest, they gave me the name Yatande, which means you will hear me.
Oh.
Yeah. Which means if I'm talking with you or somebody trying to reach you over a matter or a serious sickness or some distraction that is going on with you, you'll hear me.
I love that. Wow. And we are hearing you, and it's so good to have you here and, spreading the word on PBN about some of the traditions that really do affect all of us. The principles affect all of us, right?
It does. It really does. I'm glad you started there. Religions were only started to separate people by clans, by territory, by traditions, language, customs, and things like that. But it in spirituality, it wasn't meant for something to separate us. Why? Because we could go on and talk about where life began and if we all had melanin or non-melanin and what all of that was about. But those are talking points also to just simply distract us away from the fact that we're people. And the whole idea of becoming people is to rise in a spiritual level in your mind and body and soul to become a human being. Once you've become a human being, you're talking about someone who can reach out in kindness and in love, in respect and in duty and things like that towards your fellow man and your fellow woman. Remember, we quoted Jack Lemmon, is that the purpose for mankind, the proper function of life is for man to live and not just exist. Then he said that I shall live my days and not just exist, which means that whatever it was for him to do to help you or to teach you or to support you, he was going to do that. And he wasn't going to live his life to be seen or to just be famous or to, or any of those things. We have purpose and we need to fulfill whatever that purpose is.
What do you think gets in the way when, I want to believe that most of us are all good people. But does the block come where we don't give of ourselves and help others like we really should? I think sometimes also we forget how good it feels to help others until you do it. But a lot of us don't do it.
Self-desire.
Hmm.
Self-desire is something that gets in the way of a lot of us when we're talking about what we need to do for one another, to one another. What's in it for me?
Hmm.
I think Bill Maher said human beings are the worst people. I know he was making a joke, but if you know Bill Maher, he's also making a point about it in terms of the way that we are with one another. We all have self desire or things about ourselves because it's only natural for things to happen in our lives that to continue to support and continue our lives, but not to the extent where we forget about humanity, not to the extent where we forget about love, and purpose, and these types of things. Now, you can't help everybody, and you would be foolish to try. That's why I talked to you last time about living in even-mindedness. Your brain, you are the tree of life. I know in certain books they begin to talk to you about the Garden of Eden and things like that. You are it. When you really recognize what's happening spiritually with you, the truth of the matter is your brain is what you call the very top of the tree. And there are different parts of the tree, like the cerebellum, which is the dark hanging or low hanging fruit, and the cerebrum mind, which is the top, the one that's always in the sun and in the shade. And the problem with it is in that low lying fruit, we become what we call opportunists. We then begin to live very low life. We begin to talk about that self-desire. We do horrible, unspeakable things to one another, to whole groups of people, to whole nations of people. And then even on that other side, where we're in the cerebrum mind, away from the cerebellum, in the cerebrum mind, we're in the light. We're blinded by the light. We are so great. We're so important. We are so much in tune with God that in fact God see me, and you forget that you're blinded and you're walking over people that God made. You're doing things that have no purpose in the existence of the human existence.
Such a shame. We could be all better people if we were more mindful. Let's talk about, we mentioned it last week, but voodoo spirit. And again, you just say that word voodoo and right away, trigger.
I
Whoa.
would do that.
Yeah. Oh, let me get a voodoo doll opinion. Come on. That's not what it's about. But you also mentioned something briefly earlier, Lua. And I'm not really sure what that is. Can we go down that road there and shed some light?
Yeah, Loa, spelled Lwa. It's a Dahomean word out of Abome, and Loa means it's another way of saying forces. Forces are the forces or energies in nature. Because remember, voodoo is a system that deals with the quantum physics of the planet, of how nature is related and reacts to nature. In nature, wind, rain, sun, river, ocean, plant life, every ecosystem is respondent of the other. Loa is attached to each one of those systems. For example, rain is attached to Papa Dambala. Dambala is one of the highest forces of the Loa, and it is the one responsible for brain, thoughts, ideas, creativity, all of these types of things that Damballa produces when he releases the electrons in the brain, the electrons, neutrons, and all of these different atoms and stuff, and then continue to run down your spinal cord, and they're serpentine. So when you see Papa Damballa, you'll see him mostly represented as a snake or as a serpent, white snake. Now, here's the funny thing about it. Remember in the garden, they said the snake was the worst thing ever. And, the Lord he convinced Eve and Adam eventually to eat upon the fruit of knowledge, and he will crawl upon the earth on his belly because God. Now, it's great dramatics, believe me, it made a great movie, but the truth of the matter is that is not the truth at all, especially when paradise, heaven, the Garden of Eden and life is in you and I, and in just everybody listening to us right now. God is in you. When you look in the mirror, you are looking at God. When people ran off to find God in search of holy lands and different places like that, you know what they did? They killed people looking for God. They were actually killing God, looking for God. But the way the Loa works and connects with it all is Papa Damballa is the symbol of rain that falls from the clouds, because it creates renewed energy on the planet, and it involves in every ecosystem you can think of. I mean, from plant to swamps to human beings, everybody has Damballa. The same way as every other Loa, you have Agwe. Papa Agwe is a high wind, and also is the winds that are the trade winds and those currents that you see moving across the oceans and in the oceans. Agwe Wedo and Agwe Taiwo. Agwe is responsible in your body for the air you breathe, because you have wind, air, and things in your body. You cannot exist without air. Here's another force of God. Like Papa Damballa, you cannot exist without water, and people have tried it, and some very unsuccessfully. But try not to breathe, try not to take a breath. This is Agwe, the refresher, the heart.
Isn't it interesting? And I'm learning more about this, George, that taking a breath or 3 deep breaths and letting them out is so therapeutic. It's like a reset button on your body. And I remember back in the day, I was like probably 10 years old. My father used to say, if you get stressed out, just take a breath and breathe. But they've done research on this, and it's like a complete reset button on your body in like 10 seconds. So yes, to your point, it's not just, hey, we're taking air in. It is refreshing us. It is changing us or resetting us.
Fire, Ogun, is a force of fire and iron. A couple of things that you need in the body, but also the original word and name for Papa Ogun, which is the force of fire and iron, is flambos. Phlebotomy.
Oh, there you go. I for a moment I'm like, I think I know where he's going with that. Yeah.
The blood in the body is Papa Ogun, and I mean, I can sit here for the rest of the show and connect every Loa to your body, but also in nature, to show you how you are a part of nature in the natural sphere, and while you are a part of the quantum physics of nature, because you can't live without any of those things. Just look at fire, Ogun, the electrons in the body. It's fire. It's Damballa releasing that makes you do this and run and jump. And when you hear the word voodoo, you go, ah!
Right.
And you run like you're in a Indiana Jones movie.
Hey, you mentioned Loa, and you mentioned snake, serpentine, and you said it's kind of, intertwined. And I have this visual, and I don't know if it's right, but I have an older Jeep. Love this Jeep. It's I'm always got little issues with it, but it's my fun vehicle. It's decades old, but the serpentine belt recently snapped on it, and they call it that because, like a snake, but it
Yes.
goes through everything. It's the water pump, the alternator. It really is the engine. It ties everything together. When you mention serpentine within us, is it kind of the same thing where it's intertwined, like everything is working all together?
It's exactly the same thing.
Wow.
Look at Damballa is so ancient and so old in concept of the serpent. You cannot get away from his image on any hospital, clinic,
Oh my gosh.
because what is there? His staff and
Yeah.
those that and he
Never
is a
thought
force of
about it.
health. He is a force of health. Is the one that you go to when you're having trouble. Now, any Loa in their area can also aid and assist in getting you healthy. But Papa Dambala is the chief and number one that they report to, and then he gives the assignment on how to, like, for example, with you with your kidneys, you want to make sure, Steve, that you drink 4 ounces of water in the morning with a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Stir it up
Hmm.
because your kidneys can only process 4 ounces of water at a time. But if you do this, it will clean the your little areas and your arteries in there, and it will renew the liquid. Now, what is the liquid that is going to renew and regenerate and refresh? The blood.
Right.
And then your liver, one of the things that you need to be very careful about is to make sure that you're eating the right things that help you with your liver, for the simple fact that you need to eat things like bitter melon. It's a green, ugly, bumpy little thing, and it tastes, oh, you know, but it is the best friend of the liver,
Wow.
as well as sea moss and all the other things that gets you back to the right
You
place.
know, thank you for the sea moss reminder because that was on my radar a couple of months ago and I forgot about it until you just mentioned it now. But it is truly nature's superfood.
Sure
It's
is.
moss, comes from the sea. Predominantly, some of the best places are in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
Like St. Lucia, I believe, is one of them.
Yes,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
Especially in the lower Antilles. All you see is those old ladies there collecting the moss, as it goes, and then they cook and process it. But look at the sea. There's another force of Loa in the sea called Gili Dantor. She is reserved as the mother, because where does all life and all that generate? Coming from out of the ocean, and that is her territory. We call them territories.
mm,
So Ejili Dantor is the blessed one. They recognized her in Catholicism, but as the Black Madonna, the mother of Jesus Christ, and so forth and so on. So I want everybody listening to us to know that this information is not just us having to talk, it's information for you to take in and learn and keep and hold and to be able to get to. Please reach out to me, call me, bother me, bug me. This is what my God kids and everybody else do. I'm asleep, but when you call, I will awaken, refreshen my face, and we can have a conversation about whatever it is that you need to talk about. Use this information. That's why I'm so grateful for PBN when they put up my billboard in Times Square, because I said, "Do you want to know?" And we talked about business. We talked about romance, health, the mind, and things. So those are just a few things I put out there to spark people's interest. But we can sit down and talk business right away. Like one of the things that I tell people about a lot all the time, you come into a large sum of money, the first thing you do is get quiet and get alone and don't spend a damn dime. Make sure that you are thinking first. And instead of just dumping all your money into a bank, which is broke and is going to use that money for their own coffers to create wealth for themselves, you're not going to make much money in a bank. But if you create a portfolio, now that's something can't be taxed, can't be stopped. Can't, you know, there's a lot of advantages that you can do with a portfolio, a money portfolio.
Mm.
And these are the things that I talk to people in business, lawyers, even accountants, different ones who will come at me and say, "Pop, what do you think about this idea?" And I'll listen, and I will ask the law, because I don't know nothing, you know, but I do know the law. I can find every answer that I'm looking for, be it finance, be it health, be it romance, you know, be it whatever it is. I can go to them and ask, and they'll tell what is necessary.
Wow. And I'm on your page about banks, and don't want to be negative, never
No,
try to do that, but they're not in your best interest. And you can see that nowadays, even compared to back in the day, the customer service, they're holding your money. And
yeah,
typically you can't even get them on the phone. I have a small business. I have a marketing company. I tried to reach out on the weekend. We're not available. Are you kidding?
that's right. And you're holding my money. Why
Right.
don't I just give you my wallet?
And it's one of the biggest banks around. And I'm more and more.
I can name every one of them, but we won't do that
No,
because
we don't need to.
platform for that. You know.
Right. Right.
But the truth of the matter is, go there and say, I need $100,000 of my money, cash. Oh, come back in 3 or 4 days. You're like, no, I need my money now. We used to be, what was that? J.G. Wentworth, that used to be the commercial. It's your money. You take it now. You know, when you remember that commercial.
Yeah.
But you cannot do that, you know, in banking institutions, you know, and the different ones, because they're broke, and the system that they're using is broke, and they're using your money. So you can't just get it back when you need it, but you need to be able to access your money anywhere in the world at any time when you need it. So that means that wherever you travel, whatever you're doing, that you can go to whatever system when you have your portfolio, or even a common trust, if that's what you're trying to do, to be able to access money without having to carry large sums of money. You know, that whole checking system was created in Africa. The word check, if you look at the origin of it, was a Northern African thing from Mansa Musa. You remember him? You heard that name before?
Don't know that one.
Mansa Musa was the wealthiest, and probably still is considered the wealthiest man in the world, in terms of his processing and handling of actual gold. He created a check system, the whole system of writing a check for his emissaries to travel anywhere in the world, and they can present this check and be given goods and services. That's how old that is.
Wow.
And we're still looking at the same idea today regarding what it is that we have to do.
And it can be done obviously electronically, but I have a checkbook right here, and I got somebody coming by to pick up too. But on the advice of an accountant, still stick with paper. I'm like, okay, but it's like, it's an annoquated system. George, is there anything?
They are right. They're right. Go ahead.
Is there anything you don't know? Like like seriously, it's like, give me Loa's number. I need to call Loa.
Yeah,
I'm just being facetious here, but I got a question.
I'll tell you how. Steve, get a bowl of water. Just put water in a bowl, and you can either put it by the door, or you can put it outside of your door. Like you see sometimes those vessels that will attract certain Loa for you, particularly Papa Legba. Legba is the opener, the best friend and brother of Ogun. Whereas Ogun was Flambos, he was known as Venmos, the veins. And he is known as the one that can go and open doors and go in any direction that you want him to go. And always you'll find blood. You can cut yourself on any part of your body, just nick it, and there's some blood there because Venmos is there. But that's who you want to attract. The one thing you don't want in your business is to be blocked. You don't, and he is the one to go to when we say, Papa, this is blocking me, or these people are blocking me, or whatever diabolical energies there are blocking me. You know, he doesn't try to fight diabolical energies or anything like that. It won't be swords and, you know, things like that. He'll just take you and go right over them.
Over it. Yeah. You know, what's interesting? I have to say this. The word you're using, Venmos, sounds like Venmo.
Yes.
I don't know if there's a connection there, but
I'm sure there is.
if we were to look that up,
Yeah.
Venmo, we're just talking about money, and then Venmos,
Money flow. What are you talking about when you talk about Venmos? Is how to get and send or receive money, in any kind of
right
action in any area.
Make it flow from here to there.
That's how the rappers say, make it flow.
Make it flow. Wow. We are just about out of time, but if somebody wants to reach out to you, is it the best way by going to the Sanctuary website?
You can go to the Sanctuary website. I'm still building my own my own website at yatande.com. You can go to yatande.com and find me. But also call me directly at 215-869-5322. You can call the Sanctuary at 215-276-3633. Or you can reach out to my man Steve.
I'm here.
So
you can find me anytime. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. And I don't have even an eighth of the answers that you have, but I will refer over to you. Yeah, good stuff. Like you are so grounded, more than I think anybody maybe I've ever met. I'm trying to think. It's the truth. It really is.
It's my wife. Believe me, I don't take any credit. She's the one that made me grounded, and she's still telling me what to do.
Even from the other side, I totally got you there. Yeah, George. Always a pleasure talking with you, and truly looking forward next time we get a chance to get together.
Yeah, I got some other stuff to really set out there for you, like we talked to today. And I hope that everybody is listening, and I hope that everybody understands that we're not here to take away from anybody's beliefs or anybody's whatever it is you're holding on to. What we're talking about is raising you to a much higher level to people. And if we can do that, then we can not see color, we cannot see language, we cannot see territorial borders. We can just see people. And if we can do that, then we can make it to being a human being. And then, what I talked about last time, we get to be human, who knows? One day we can become extraterrestrial.
Anything is possible, but the one word that keeps dropping out of the sky to me regarding you and even this conversation is inspiration. You inspire. Like even you bringing up the word CMOS. I don't think things happen coincidentally. There's always a reason behind it. And you to say CMOS almost to me says, Steve, duh, you were thinking about it a lot a couple of months ago. And then I got busy, and it is a amazing superfood. People Google CMOS, get it from a reputable source, but it's good stuff. And
don't forget that bitter lemon for your liver. It's the best friend of your liver. And drink that 4-ounce glass of water with a little baking soda and a half a teaspoon, so that it can do some things to your kidneys that you just gonna love.
Even if you didn't put the baking soda in, drink the water. I had a conversation. Now we digress, but I had a conversation with a counselor just doing one of these podcasts, and he said, "Would you believe that 90% of the mental challenges that people have, and they deviate toward medication," he says, it's because they don't hydrate. They're not drinking enough water. They can't think. They can't process. We don't realize how important it is. So just what you said. Thank you for sharing that, even bringing it up. All right, George. Always great. On looking forward next time. Yeah, bless you too. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.